Hi everyone, it's Mr. Bisson again. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's webisode that I made with the memory game with a deck of cards. Today I wanted to do something a little bit different. So being a part of social media and seeing what all the teachers are doing, it seems like teachers are doing a really awesome job doing some read alouds and bringing awareness to some books, which is really awesome. So I kind of want to do something a little bit similar today, but I also want to change it up a little bit. So I'm going to do a read aloud, but I'm also going to provide you with a writing activity that I think would be really, really fun. So I am going to do a little bit of a read aloud from a book called Zen Shorts by Jon J Muth, and he is one of my all-time favorite authors and illustrators. So he actually started out as an illustrator, and he does some really, really cool things with his illustrations. So he is a very well-known illustrator because he's done books with Mo Willems, and his illustrations are just really beautiful. They're often watercolored, and they're really vibrant and very, I don't know. I've always loved them, and ever since I read books with his illustrations, I've just been a huge fan. So, like I said, I'm going to be reading this book called Zen Shorts today, but this is actually a book that's within kind of like a series. So, there's Zen Shorts, there's Zen Socks, and there's also a book called Zen Ghosts that he all wrote and illustrated himself. And like I said, I'm a huge, huge fan of his books, and the illustrations are just super captivating and super amazing. His stories are also really awesome. So I really hope that you enjoy this story. I'm not going to read the whole thing today. So if you end up really interested in the story, then I encourage you to read it on your own. I'm going to read the first part of it because he has a really unique writing style, or these books have a really unique writing style, where Jon J Muth starts telling a story, but then within that story is another story, which is really cool and something really different. And it's something that I really gravitate towards. So I hope you really enjoy the story. At the end of the first part of the story, I'm going to provide you with an idea of writing that you could do on your own that kind of resembles the way that Jon J Muth writes his own books. So, sit back, relax. I hope you enjoy the story. And like I said, at the end, I'm going to talk about how you can implement Jon J Muth's writing style in your own writing. So, I hope you enjoy Zen Shorts by Jon J Muth. "Michael, there's a bear outside," said Carl. "A what?" called Michael. "A bear. He's really big, and he's in front of the backyard." "What's he doing?" Michael asked. "He's sitting. He has an umbrella," said Carl. "An umbrella?" By the time the boys got outside, their sister Addie was already talking with him. "I'm sorry for arriving unannounced," said the bear. "The wind carried my umbrella all the way from my backyard to your backyard. I thought I would retrieve it before it became a nuisance." He spoke with a slight panda accent. Michael introduced himself. Then Addie introduced Carl because Carl was shy around bears. He didn't know. And this is how Addie, Michael, and Carl met Stillwater. The next day, Addie went to have tea with Stillwater. "Hello," Addie said as she stepped inside. Come in," a faraway voice called. Then she heard the voice say, "Oh yes, come out, come out." Stillwater was in the backyard. He was in a tent. "This is a birthday present from my Uncle Rye," Stillwater said. "He always gives presents on his birthday to celebrate the day he was born. I like it so much that I'm not staying in my house right now." Stillwater invited Addie to sit with him. "You brought me some cake?" said Stillwater. "That was very nice of you. Is it your birthday?" he asked. "No," said Addie. "It's not mine either," said Stillwater. "But let me give you a gift for my uncle's birthday. I will tell you a story." So this is where the book turns into a story within a story. So Stillwater is going to tell a story of his uncle. So it says, Uncle Rye and the Moon. My Uncle Rye lived alone in a small house up in the hills. He didn't own many things. He lived a very simple life. One evening, he discovered he had a visitor. A robber had broken into the house, and he was rummaging through my uncle's few belongings. The robber didn't notice Uncle Rye, and when my uncle said, "Hello," the robber was so startled, he almost fell down. My uncle smiled at the robber and shook his hand. "Welcome, welcome! How nice of you to visit." The robber opened his mouth to speak, but he couldn't think of anything to say. Because Rye never lets anyone leave empty-handed, he looked around the tiny hut for a gift for the robber, but there was nothing to give. The robber began to back toward the door. He wanted to leave. At last, Uncle Rye knew what to do. He took off his only robe, which was old and tattered. "Here," he said, "please take this." The robber thought my uncle was crazy. He took the robe, dashed out the door, and escaped into the night. My uncle sat and looked at the moon, its silvery light spilling over the mountains, making all things quietly beautiful. "Poor man," lamented my uncle. "All I had to give him was my tattered robe. If only I could have given him this wonderful moon." "Your uncle sounds nice," said Addie. "I don't think I could have given away my only robe." "I know how that is," said Stillwater, "but there's always the moon." "That was a good story," said Addie. "Thank you," said Stillwater, "and this is good cake." "Thanks," said Addie. "I made it myself." So we're going to stop there for today. And I hope you guys really enjoyed the first part of this story. The rest of this story, Stillwater meets with Carl and the other brother, and he, again, tells a story within the story within that, which is really, really beautiful. So, now is an opportunity for you guys to take how Jon J Muth writes his book and to write your own story within a story. So I suggest that you start writing a story, maybe like Jon J Muth does, where he introduced the characters, and then maybe one of the characters goes into a separate story, like Stillwater does in this situation. He tells a story of his uncle, who I think is pretty selfless, right? So he lives a pretty simple lifestyle, and yet even though the raccoon, or the robber, was coming into his house to steal something, he still was super caring and super respectful and could kind of read between the lines and give the raccoon his robe, his only robe, right? And then as he's looking at the moon, he still wants to give this robber something beautiful such as the moon. So his uncle really is selfless, and he is kind of relating that to the character Addie, right? Because Addie is going to Stillwater's house, and she simply made him a cake that she didn't really have to do, right? So I really love the story and the message that this book has, because both of those stories go along with the theme of being caring and understanding where people are coming from and not really seeing the negative in people. So I think that's really a beautiful theme to have, especially right now in these times that we're in. So I'm going to challenge you to write a story, but also have a short story within that story. So I hope you have fun with it. I hope you guys are able to do that activity and run with it. If you have any questions, I'm always here for you guys to comment. If you guys want to email me, you can certainly email me on my school email, which is simply mbisson, BISSON, @bonnieeagle.org. And I'm hoping to do more of these videos. So if you have any ideas, whether it's you as a student or you as a parent have anything that you are interested in hearing, or if you want more of, please, leave it in my comments. I would love to hear what you guys need. So again, I hope you guys have fun, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.